Well, I thought I might have dropped a stream there. And sure enough, I did. And sure enough, everything was still telling me it was all recording. And that's for streaming. It's becoming the norm. It says we're on air now, as well, but so I'm just gonna trust my phone to tell me when I'm on the air or not, huh? There we go. It's getting really annoying that whenever this seems to lock up, it seems to just keep Twitch saying I'm streaming on my computer. So keep doing my tumbling. Controlled tumbling. So we need to go that way. I'm going to try and get this dead lander to do one last bit of science for us. I did blow up one of the pieces of it already doing this. But totally unnecessary piece. Just a fuel tank. We no longer have an engine anyway. We just need to make sure that the computer core, the antenna, and the thermostat all stay alive and well on this craft. Okay. Slowly shimmying our way to victory. Well, now I know that the no was because we were losing stream. Because otherwise this is all totally planned. This is using destroyed craft to achieve goals. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh my god, we've traveled 650 meters. We're doing good. About to run out of battery though. Where's the sun right now? Okay. So can we... Ah, there we go. Right yourself and recharge. Alright, now the lander's recharging. Did pretty good. We're more or less heading in the right direction. We need to just keep heading more mooner north. We headed very far Mooner west. We now need to head more Mooner north. We're doing good recharging right now. Time warp a little bit and let that recharge very quickly. Those reaction wheels use a lot of power. Darping our way to science. There we go, pretty much full charge. Alright, now. We back to... Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, that could work. Which way is north? That way? Scoot! Scoot, little lander! Scoot for your life. Scoot for science. Okay, we now have a rollerblading lander. Okay, there we go. Let's just off. That was a good use of our RCS, actually. Doing a wheelie. Doing wheelies for science. Okay, now we need to tip over. Tip over, tip over, tip over. Yes! Okay. Need to head more that way. Now we're trying to go uphill. Now it's not working so well. Come on, little lander. Oh, don't go back downhill. It's not helpful. Uphill, please. Uphill, uphill, uphill. Thing is, it just like wants to roll onto the top here and like dreidel. Our lander thinks it's a dreidel. If you could stop doing that, would be nice. Let's see what happens if we extend the landing legs. That'll just completely keep us from going uphill. Shame I can't, like, just do this in certain lines. I don't know why it has to always be all of them. Is there a way to make these... Yeah, there's no way to single them out. That stinks. Well, looks like we didn't get as far as we wanted. Didn't get close enough. somewhere off that there. So I'll actually have to send a real lander down here and not just use this broken one. Assuming I can't just get this to work a little bit. Yeah, we just ended up... I mean, we made it a good distance. We made it like 820 meters away from where this originally crashed a couple days ago. If I could just like... Okay, that's pitch. Let's roll. So this would be yaw. And that's just gonna make us fall further away. Yeah, since we have to go uphill, it's messing with us. We have a pretty effective dreidel, though. Just see where fortune carries us for science. Apparently it stops carrying us very far at all. Alright. So derpy. Let's see. Still amazed that it's not close enough. Feels like I've been further away from the zone and gotten credit for it. But anyway. We can, from this position, time warp pretty fast. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Let's see if I can get this one scan anyway. Should just have to raise our altitude a little bit on our good lander. Although this is actually our reserve lander, it's not even our good lander. Now we don't want to do that. Probably want to do a little bit of that and a little bit of that. Periaps at way too low. That make our current position our periaps. That's probably what I want to do. If I want to get this now. Which I kind of do. We should have a couple rotations to lower ourselves back down if we need to. Only a 1 second burn. It's not going to use a ton of our fuel. And we're not landing, so we don't need a ton. Alright. Yep, that should do us. We should be at a high enough altitude when we go over that position to collect the crew report. So let's get rid of that maneuver. Let's warp here. And let's start closing some contract points here. Hopefully we'll be close enough. Should be. This should be pretty close. That's what I'm saying. I feel like I've gotten a lot further away before and done just fine. Yep, and now we're entering the area already. Report and go. We got credit for that one. Oh, and this one's actually above as well. Why was I thinking that one was also below? And that one's above. Oh. Well, in that case, I'm fine until this comes back around. And not even that one. This one. When this one comes back around, I've got to bring my altitude back down. So, yeah, this is actually fine. Let's switch to something we can time warp a little bit on. Ooh, zoomed out way too far. Now. More 100 times time warp. Oh, we're actually like moving further away from that point. Oh, I goofed that one up, huh? So then which of these are we going to run into first? This one. Okay, that should be close enough, I want to say. Still kind of far, actually. Let's do one more orbit. See how that takes us. And then we'll have to lower our orbit and get set up for this one. That'll be one contract closed. This one will still be open because of this one down here. Okay, so now it's just, orbit's just passing over that point, so it should be pretty close by the time we come around. Alright, this should be the one we want. Slowly closing out contracts. So closest point, it's coming up. Yep, we're entering the zone. So crew report. Send it off. Another contract point complete. Okay, now we need to go to our apogee and bring it down because this needs to be below 10. We actually need to go to our perigee. Bring our apogee down. If we do that, we're fine. How are all our other vehicles doing? This is already all a good ways off to Minmus. I didn't realize how much time we were really wasting there. Not wasting, I guess. We were using it. Just want to be as efficient with our time as possible. Yeah, we missed our window for this one as well. We could just do a radial burn here. Let's do a radial burn. That'll give us fairly symmetric. Oops. No inclination change, please. Fairly symmetric orbit. About 660 kilometers. That's only a 1 second burn. Alright. So we'll do that 1 second burn. Can actually probably get away with doing it a little early, but I'm going to time warp into the position instead. We'll do that just so we have a circular orbit, and then once we're satisfied with the Moonlander's mission, we'll come back here. We'll lower 1/2 of the orbit, so we can deploy these satellites in intervals. Because ultimately what we're going to want to do is set it up so we'll be back at the highest point of the orbit with this vehicle at 1/3 of the way through each orbit, or 2/3 of the way at least. Either way works, of each of these final orbits of these satellites. And then they'll be evenly distributed and on the same orbital period, allowing us to have constant network communication with all of Minmus at any given time. And there we go. There's our radial burn. Nice and cheap. 660, 661. Pretty circular. And our orbital period, 4 days, 1 hour. So I'm gonna have to trim that down a little bit and get it down to maybe 4 days, maybe. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Anyway, while I contemplate that, let's go back to tracking our Munlander. It's time warp from this vehicle so I can watch our lander get most of the way around. To our perigee maneuver. And set us up for this next contract scan. I'm trying to get this over with so I can get the lander back on station, since we do need the reserve there, realistically, if we want to do any kind of serious landing. Because of what obviously happened to that first lander, which was rolling around on the surface rather helplessly. We're now 1 minute away from our burn we wanted to do. But yeah, just kind of using this this lander as a orbiter this time around. Not actually doing a landing, but we needed crew reports from orbit, and we needed them up at high inclination. So rather than trying to send the whole station in inclination or the whole transfer vehicle, which would use a lot of fuel, since this is already cut down to be as light a vehicle as possible, I figured this would probably be the efficient way to do it. And it seems to be working so far. So I'm going to be very careful with this maneuver, so I don't, pardon me, lower our orbit too much. Definitely don't want to do that, because we do not want to go in for a landing. We definitely don't want to smash into a mountain. That was what happened to our first Minmus satellite. That would be bad to do with a crew on board. I'm sure Sidre would not have fun smashing into a mountain. There we go. There's our burn. A little bit of correction. I'm going to make sure we do that again, for the reason that we want to be as exact as possible. So our apogee now at 8.8 kilometers and then 8.5 kilometers for our perigee. That should be fine. Now we want this this zone to come up. We cannot time warp as fast as we'd like to. So what I'm going to do... Where's landing zone alpha? I typoed landing zone alpha. I might as well go back and finally rename it. Alpaha is not what we wanted to name this. Oh, I can't rename it. That's seems quite silly. Oh well. It's permanently landing zone Alpaha. And we'll time warp a bunch. And watch for this, this zone to finally come into range. 2 passes. 3 passes. This should be probably the pass that we get close enough. Maybe not. I feel like that's too far. So let's do one more pass. I'll switch back over to the lander, take that contract. And that'll be a total contract. No, I'm tracking the network. It's not really necessary. All right. For this, I'll have one more contract point, which is above 7.5, so I won't even need to adjust my orbit. Just have to wait for it to come around. And then we can finally go back to the correct inclination for rendezvous with the moon station. And start heading back there. And if we do run out of fuel, we do have the retrieval unit in high lunar orbit, ready for a rescue. Cool, we're entering that zone. So we take a crew report, send it off. Is the contract complete? Perfect. So there's one down. Oh, our last one actually is above 10,100. So we will have to adjust our orbit. We do also need a new MUNSAT. Now we have a circular orbit. Doesn't really matter where we do our prograde burn. So we're going to do that now. And it's above 10.1. Alright. Shame that's such an extreme inclination, because where it's above, I could probably very easily get that otherwise. With a secondary craft. I really don't like waiting on this. Switch here one more time. It says target, so we can track where its apogee is, because that's where it's going to need to make its burn. Alright, bring it all the way around. Switch to the lander again. Raise the perigee. Pardon me. So we want to auto-aim prograde. We're more or less at apogee. There we go. Perfect. So we just have to wait for us to come across this zone. See how our stations are doing for science since we've been doing a lot of time warp. Let's radio back what we have, refill if we need to. In the case of the moon station, since we have a lot of extra science sitting there that wasn't being worked on. So let's see, we want. Well, we still have 722 data. We have 65 science. No one ready to level up. So let's transmit science. Use a lot of battery. Hopefully we have a ton of battery. Alright, 65 science added. Good work, team. Let's go to Jeb Station. Check on them. Alright, looking good, Jeb Station. Let's see how much science we have going on here. So we've only got 516 data in there. So yeah, we need to bring that probably up a little bit. But we do have 59 science, so we can go ahead. First of all, nope, no one to... No astronauts, you mean Kerbonauts. Crazy. You can clean experiments out on the outside of the station as well. Those are cleaned. And transmit science. Cleaning up Science Junior now. A lot going on there. Thankfully, 7,000 electric charge is quite a lot. Alright, we've got science we can spend. So that's definitely a good thing. Yeah. Temperature surveys of Mun. My least favorite. This is what Munsat 1 died for. There's our temperature gathering sins. I could probably wait. Could go for a Duna satellite. See if we can get away with that. We still have to send something up to recover this component. I need to figure out how to do that too. Still working on this mission. Let's start to spend our science. We've got 271 science. And that means I'm going to get my advanced fuel systems finally. So we can next unlock, get the nuclear propulsion engine. We'll start focusing on that. I'm going to get probably aerodynamics so I can have some larger... No, I don't have larger tanks there. Well, that's a bust. I was hoping for some larger liquid fuel tanks to go along with those nuclear engines. When do those come into play? this tier, we could start doing something maybe. Yeah, that's where the larger liquid fuel parts are. We can figure something out. Not have to resort to that, I don't think. 'Cause I really am not the biggest fan of space planes. Let's maybe design something new. Courtesy of some rebalancing, we now actually have a financially intelligent reason to use our lovely mainsail. Let's make a fairly extended first stage. Put our mainsail on that. GD25 decoupler. Use the poodle finally, which also now is financially intelligent. Finally. Let's do this one just so it's actually white. Looks a little better. So it's all one tone. Might, this just a little shorter. There we go. Something like that. Couplers. Two sets of two. Let's position them as low down on this as possible. Eject backwards, away from the craft. Okay. Pair of these. Nope. This one. Go. Something like that. Looks pretty good. Pair of these. How are we doing on weight? We are actually doing pretty good. I want to see if we can get a decent sized fuel tank up in one shot with this setup. So what we want a 2.5 fairing size. Put a lightweight engine, something that's three of those would be lighter than even just one of those, but not what I want to do. Fired at the poodle on there. a second poodle. The cheetah is cheaper. Use the cheetah. So let's do T18 decoupler, TD12. We'll get away with TD12. We're gonna switch this to the bear version anyway. Alright. Put a Arcomax adapter. On a good sized fuel tank. Yeah, it's almost 20 tons of fuel. It's like 18 tons of fuel. It's a little more than 20 tons of fuel now. That's what we want. Now, I want another one of these adapters. Reaction wheels. Want a service bay with a hex core in it. It's a battery. Pair of solar panels. Antenna. Docking port. Oh, you know, I actually have the inline. Where is it? Inline RCS finally. Let's take advantage of that. There we are. Which is the Terrier engine right now? 390. I'm sure it's lighter, yeah. Let's use that instead of the Cheetah. I'm feeling confident. Rebuild the fairing. This could actually be a pretty good fuel tanker. Let's analyze things a little bit here. Let's go ahead and put the boosters in the first stage, where they belong, along with the engine itself. 990 meters per second. I want you to show me thrust to weight ratio. Ooh. 1.93, that's an awful thrust to weight ratio. That's with all of those going? That doesn't seem right. That is bad. I don't want to trust it. I kind of feel like this should work. I'm going to launch it anyway. That mainsail is a pretty powerful engine. Granted, this is an insanely heavy cargo. A 20-ton fuel tank is by no means a light payload. Auto strut there at the last minute. Alright, let's see what happens. Yeah, see, that's not that bad. Well, I guess a 2-to-1 ratio on a craft this big is actually quite a bit of thrust, so I guess it's a big part of it. I don't know. I'm trying to sound smart, but I'm not. Good. Kind of like a Delta 4 medium. This is the Centaur upper stage. Go over and return. No roll oscillation, which is good. Fairly shallow climb, since we did turn late. Yep, very shallow climb actually. Let's go into vertical, horizontal I mean. Oh, I said vertical. There we go. Oh, fairly successful there. Let's kill the poodle real quick. Kill the poodle engines. Oh, I've done this all without... I did it all without SAS on? Is that right? There's no way. There's no way. Alright, anyway. Start burning. We're going to get rid of the shroud, because we no longer need that. Let's see how the poodle can do. This is really what this is hinging on now. Probably should have started this a little earlier. Just gonna let this burn prograde. Some space to break for you. We are approaching this kind of practice. We're going to hold this position. We don't fall or prograde any further. So we're going to have to nose up as we do this. up more. High angle of attack there. There we go. Now we're driving apogee in front of us. Don't really want it in front of us. We just want it not getting closer. So we can kind of tune this to that. Good actually now. Now go just a little further down. A little further down. Almost get back. We'll actually try the horizontal. Just try it for a minute. That should just about do us. So a little more expensive per ton than I'm used to using, but now that's going to be the norm due to the new rebalancing. So it's actually not particularly wasteful to use this anymore. And it pretty much perfectly got us where we wanted. I just forgot to put the Separatrons again, which is kind of frustrating. I really don't want to put that trash into space, so... Let's just lower our orbit a little bit. Just below a safe limit into the atmosphere, which is actually where we run out of fuel. So good, that bottom stage will now go back and burn up. I now know that this is how much payload we can get to orbit. So I want to just quickly, from the map view, 22.8 tons. This is a 23-ton launcher, pretty much. Yeah, that's just a little extra bit of fuel. And we want to go prograde. No, RCS, please. Now we want RCS. Just a little bit. Just to clear us of that section we no longer want. Do our prograde burn. Back up to a safe altitude. Activate the engine. Perfect. Back up to a circular orbit. Alright. So the lower piece is going to burn up. This part's good. And we have a 22-ton to-orbit launcher. Lots of monoprop, lots of fuel. Actually, probably could have just put monoprop engine on the bottom here, huh? Probably would have been a good idea. Alright, we got a new heavy launcher. wait till one of our stations needs that and send it on its way once we do. That was a good test. So that'll be our K-22. Almost, I think we can call it a K-23. We could have made that with 23-ton payload. Let me root this for a second. Because I'm constantly forgetting the Separatrons, I'm going to actually put this on this. Okay. Lower section is going to get saved separately, but we are going to save this top bit. Seems like a pretty good fuel tank design. So let's see. Let's save that in as a subassembly. So, K-22 Gen 1, of course, is an LKO launcher. Now what I want to know, I'm going to save this craft here. That was supposed to be K-23, wasn't it? Oh, wow. Wow, okay. Payload with the shroud and everything, this is actually a 24 and a half. I'm going to go back and fix that. K-24 G1 fuel tanker. Wow, that is a significantly bigger vehicle than I realized. So I'm going to trash that. Yep, K-24 G1 LKO. All right, let's do new, and I just want to see, let's grab like the cheapest thing I could possibly put here as a starting thing, an ant, I guess. 110 credits. Just want to see how expensive the launcher itself is compared to the payload. So 32K, so yeah, expensive compared to what we're used to. New version of the K-15, for example. The smaller one we used is 27.5. It was one without the extra engines on it, without the extra fuel up here. Now, comparatively though, I mean, we're talking about getting, 15 tons versus 24, so really not that bad, I guess, when all is said and done. Our K7 is probably still our most efficient. An 11K vehicle for 7 tons. That's still a champion. But okay. We have a heavy launch vehicle. That's probably the most we can allow with our pad. That's probably going to be where we draw the line, and we can no longer expand any further with our pad. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good overall weight to payload weight ratio there. Later we can do like the Delta IV Heavy and put like 2 of these side by side on either side of this. That'd be pretty cool. All right. So we got some good launchers. Let's go back and check on the moon lander. Well, I should probably check on Minmus Station. Wherever that may be. It still has 4 days, 5 hours to the Mun encounter. 5 days, 2 hours to the periaps. Yeah, we're fine. We're good. I do really like the new version of the K-15, though. I need to go back and save that. Now I'm going to have to remake it and then save it, I think. I might have saved it. Because this 4 Terrier, this 4 Terrier upper stage actually kind of works really well. I like that setup. It's also very, it's making this very much like the actual Soyuz rocket. Minus this would be a lot smaller and have vernier engines on them instead of being gimbling themselves. But, you know, a vacuum 4 thrust chamber engine is what it would use. Granted, this is also 4 engines, but, you know, whatever. It looks closer. To the untrained eye, it's better. Better facsimile. So, Minmus Station, definitely well on its way. We'll need to design new landers for it as well. Probably we could send that new fuel tank up to it if we can get something else to bring it there. The big thing is we're just going to be waiting to unlock nuclear engines. That's going to be the next thing we unlock. Because why wouldn't we? I do just want to see this. It's a very long wait to come around for this next pass at this zone. This is definitely the most time warping I've ever done in an episode. Time warping out several days. That's something I usually don't do. Yeah, wow, oh my god. This is going to be coming up on that actual maneuver for our station. I think this might actually be too far polar. I think this will just never reach this. I think it'll just circle around here and never reach this inclination that we're on. I think that's the problem. So if we gotta adjust it anyway, let's adjust the inclination and stop doing this craziness. Because now I'm sure Sidre is sitting in a very smelly, uncomfortable pod at this point. Oop, nope, don't go in for a landing. Thank you. Still not gonna do it. So we need to do this maneuver like here-ish. Yeah, there we go. Apogee would be too high, so we can cut it down. Starting to flip. That's too low. 10.5, 10.8, that's what we want. Just a little more. So we do that same maneuver again, a little bit of retrograde on there. 10.6, 11.2, that should be fine. So, okay. Let's just maneuver and get this over with. Can't always be the most efficient with fuel, as you'd like to be. Hopefully we have enough fuel to still get him back to the station without using the recovery vehicle. We're going to have a 26-second burn. It's going to be a crazy burn. Oh, you know why it's a crazy burn? Because this. That's better. 6-second burn. Less worried now. So we're gonna get ourselves within 3 seconds of that maneuver node that we just created. Make sure we are perfectly lined up. Get that last contract zone so we can finally get Sidri back to Mun Station and do a proper Mun landing tomorrow. Possibly not tomorrow. I might not stream tomorrow. Just getting used to saying that because I stream almost every night. And now it's becoming the norm. Okay. A little bit of correction burn. Make sure we're doing this. So we're in low orbit and things are kind of tight at the moment. Okay. That should get us where we want to go. Much less efficiently than I wanted. But that's just sometimes how things go. Yep, we're now entering that zone. Crew report. Send it off. Contract complete. That is yet another contract completion. Sidri's doing great for us. Now we need to get him home. Set the station as our target. We're going to come back to that in just a second because I do want to check. Okay, cool. Mun Station Core still hasn't reached its target, so we're good there, even though I just way time warped more than I needed to. So at ascending node, we've got 72 degrees. Oh boy. 72 degrees to try and correct. Which is going to blow up our apogee something fierce. And we're going to need to do a lot of retrograde burn to make it doable. 0.1 and 0.1. It's probably the best we're going to get out of one burn. This is going to blow up our apogee a lot, but we're going to have to deal with that after the fact. This is going to be a 49-second burn at full fuel. Seriously? Alright. It's going to use about half our delta V, but that shouldn't be a problem. So, at 25 seconds to the maneuver, we're going to have to start burning. Which is going to make this a very inaccurate burn. We're going to have a lot of adjustment after the fact, I think. My own fault for getting us that far out of inclination, but you know, seems like it's still doable. Seems like we're still fine. Again, having such a light craft for an orbiter does help. Since we decided that we were going to take our usual lander and use it as a moon orbiter. Saw it do a switch over that we're like not in orbit, and that's kind of scaring the crap out of me. Yeah, because as part of this we're no longer in orbit. So we're basically stopping in midair and re-accelerating in another direction. We might as well have just like landed and then taken back off. That's basically what we're doing. Oh my god. Talk about inefficient ways to do things. Alright, a little bit of correction here. Let's do that. We still have about as much fuel as we normally have coming up into orbit from after a landing. We do have a radically off apogee, so I'm going to try and correct that now with a separate maneuver. Let's monitor our fuel while we're doing this. Actually had a pretty good intersect there, but I'm not going to take it just yet. Just time warp ourselves around. And then at apogee, I'll add a maneuver for us to partially raise our orbit. See how that does for our timing. Have to actually over-raise it. It's only a 2-second burn. So I think we can get away with this one. is. 0.4. That looks pretty good. So we got that maneuver coming up now. Essentially what we're doing is we're raising our orbit. We're accelerating to raise our orbit to slow down our rate of orbit. So our orbital timing will increase. It'll take us longer to orbit by accelerating. And that'll cause us to come in next to the station at its point of orbit. Its closest intersect will then match speed with it, and then do our maneuvering over with monoprop. And a pretty good alternate mission for our moon lander. Tidre's been just pooping in a corner of the lander this whole time. Just eating the snacks he packed in the lander. Breathing recycled oxygen. Through a filter the engineers had to make out of a sock. Then, just a little bit of correction. Oop, that's way too much correction. Thrust limit the heck out of that bad boy. There we go. Recorrected. Now, we can warp here. And now our warp speed is actually pretty high, because we're in a high orbit. So we're going to go speed target is going to be very low. Set our closest point of intersect, which is in 14 seconds. I'm going to put the engine back up to full throttle. And there's the station. There we are. Oop, way too much. Okay, zeroed out our speed to target. We'll switch over to RCS. We'll start refueling the lander. This is our backup lander. So the primary lander is already ready to go, but we're going to still refuel this one and keep it at the ready, in case we have another lander like what happened to our original primary lander and bottoms out and destroys its engine. At least we'll have a reserve craft to head down and rescue the crewmen, because these can fly totally automated. In fact, I would have done that for this mission if we did not need to take crew reports. Slow down our speed of closure here, our closure rate. We're going to want to dock on this port right here. If I can click it. There we go. Start doing some maneuvering now. It's very good craft monoprop was. Good maneuvering thrusters. Set us up for a good dock here. Okay. Looking good. Just using that nav ball. Only checking up for visual to make sure I'm not running into anything. But trying to let the nav ball do all the work here. It's bad docking is how we knocked off one of these solar panels on the primary lander, which thankfully is not mission critical for the craft. There we go. Smooth dock. We've got Sidre back. We can start refueling the lander. We'll get that prepped for possible use in the event of an emergency, or to use again as an orbiter. It is our better option as an orbiter at this point, but our other one's a better lander. It's got a set of lights on it, or it's got a single light on it, I should say, for landing, and it has better aligned ladders, so we don't need to EVA up to the, or EVA propellant up to the door. But the reserve has the harness with the pair of working solar panels, so as far as an orbiter goes, it's definitely the better orbiter. Since we'll be going around typically in long periods of time without running its engine and giving itself any electrical charge that way. Although I don't remember if the Poodle actually gives you electric charge. Or not the Poodle, the Terrier. This would be the Terrier. I don't remember. One of our last remaining AJ-10s. Sitting up here on our transfer vehicle. Now, very significantly nerfed. And we no longer have it unlocked because of the tech tree change, so it's one of our very last ones. It's a dying breed. Our J2 powered fuel tank replacement did alright though. Didn't do great, but it did alright. Got the job done. As you can see, it definitely brought a significant amount of fuel for the station. We don't go through that much. I'll make sure the prime lander is ready. So reserve lander, everything's transferred over. Prime lander looks fully fueled. We can try and take this one to one of the target landing zones then. Put some RCS replacement in here. This one's going to have a little bit of a tough journey. This one's going to have to do some inclination changes next time to get to the target landing zone. Not as much as what we just dealt with. Thankfully. I want to make sure we have every advantage possible in terms of fuel. So there we are. Prime lander looks good. Check how much more science we managed to unlock. 41. Transmit that off. Still got a lot of data in there to work on. A level up to do. Let's get Sid Ray back in the station though. Now I could transfer him, just directly transfer him, but that's kind of less fun, isn't it? So we're gonna EVA him back to the crew module. I think all these data, yeah, all these data are going to be too big to want to put them into the station now, into the lab. So we'd lose some of it, I think, if we did that. So we won't get much science benefit for a little while here. We're just going to be leaving this, processing the data that's already there. Once it gets low, we'll start doing more moon landings. Then we still need to get more science into Jebediah Kerman Station, and while we could send some back in the transfer vehicle, not as good an idea, because you get a bonus for researching in a lab that's in the same sphere of influence as where you collected the data. So to transfer from the moon back there would be actually kind of detrimental. We wouldn't get as much science out of it. So one of the things we could do a crew change out on the station. So transmit science. Yep. We could do a crew change. Send up a crew of 3, send down a crew of 3. And we could then put on some of the new experiments onto the launch, onto the capsule. That would let us collect some data to go ahead and throw into the lab. Probably not a bad idea. So we can get rid of this fuel tanker anytime soon. Since we have another fuel tanker that's going to be on the way shortly. See if I can find some places to store all this fuel. And then we'll deorbit this thing. Quite a bit of fuel there. I just want to leave a little bit of fuel in this tank just so it can deorbit itself. But otherwise, just transferring as much back to these semi-permanent tanks as I can. Now this was the launch tank from the K-20, which will probably never get used now that we have the K-24. The K-20 would have been much cheaper. I say would have been, except for the rebalancing. Now because of the increased cost of the J2 and the increased weight, it is no longer a good idea to use the K20. Cool, looks like we can just fill that up and have enough fuel to go ahead and deorbit this tank. So this little fuel tank has the distinction of being probably the only thing we'll ever launch from that K20, which did look a lot like the actual Proton, semi-intelligently. I didn't mean to make it like a ridiculous clone, but I did kind of get the idea of the multi-engine array at the bottom from the Proton. Transfer a bunch of the monoprop over. Which monoprop tanks have I been taking from if it's not those? Are these ones? Yeah. Drain a bunch of monoprop. Just one more tank. We don't want to make it completely empty. We do want to get it pretty close. So, except for ones that are partially filled. Yeah, it's going to be perfect. It's going to leave us just enough to back off. And then we have enough fuel to deorbit. Should have enough fuel to deorbit. 150 might actually be a lot to deorbit. Let's go ahead and load some of that into the docking ring. A little bit more transfer. don't need a totally ridiculous amount of fuel just to deorbit. There we go. I think even if I use the smallest tank we have, which is one of these, I think even then would be at a point where we'd be leaving us not enough fuel to transfer if I want to do an even transfer. So I think that's enough for me. I think I'm good. We can undock. Like I said, we have RCS now that we can back away from the station. Get us clear so our thrust isn't impacting the station as well. There we are. That's the end of our monoprop. We can now aim retrograde. Alright, and off it goes. Alright, that tank is deorbited. It'll go and smash into the planet as we'd want it to. And I'm a happy man. I think that's where I'm going to call it. I got our expedition back for our orbiter. Got our contracts closed for orbiting the moon and getting those specific scans from a crewman. No idea what this is. Untitled spacecraft. Oh, and adjusted orbit of Minmus. Oh, and we got new orbital station around Kerbin. Hold on, let's read this before I leave. Let's read this. So we need to build a new station around Kerbin. So this would be then something we'd build, get complete, and then send it up to the station. Second research lab has an antenna, docking port, generate power. Facility supporting 9 Kerbals. Research lab, maintain stability. Wow. This would be exceptionally expensive. We would get 25 science from it though. I might just put a second station up then. A lot of capacity though. Like our current station doesn't have that much, I don't think. But it doesn't have any fuel requirements or power requirements aside from just being able to have it. I might be able to do something neat with that. No, it doesn't give you any credit for docking with your current station. basically the way this triggers it out is it makes sure that every part that's on it and considered for it has to be launched after taking the contract. So if you're connected to anything that that is newer, or sorry, older than the contract, then will not give you any credit at all. I did try that. No, they always had the ability to do that. That was actually why we had to launch that second core for the Valentina Kerman station originally. Is that first core had been made and put into Kerbin orbit as a station, and then we just transferred it and then attached other things, but it didn't give us any credit since those were attached. Yeah, I'm gonna take this though. I'm not gonna take this one though. This one doesn't give us any science, so I'm not that interested in it. Oh, not what I wanted. Oh, also not what I wanted. Okay. No idea what I just did. Anyway. Okay, cool. Station's still got a little ways to go. Still got a lot of space junk to get out of Kerbin Sphere influence, unfortunately. Our fuel tanker's on its way down. Our new fuel tanker sitting here in low orbit. I just wanted to check one thing. I want to see how expensive, before I go, to decide if I want to do any more crazy math while the cameras are away, so to speak. I want to see how expensive the K20 right now is compared to the K24. And possibly fix the K15. So let's take very light object, or very cheap object. Very cheap object. Let's just take an ant engine. Let's compare. So our K20, which was kind of almost cheaty before, right? Because we were taking these engines which weighed only a ton each and 1,500 credits each. We were taking those and using them instead of a mainsail, which made it cheaper, stronger, and weighed the same, and only slightly less efficient. Now this is almost a 45K option, and the extra weight means that this will probably not get to orbit the same way, right? So this might struggle now to get 20 tons to orbit, where before it was doing fine. Now the K24 is only 32. So that's what the difference really was of this retuning. I mean, it was like 28, almost like 30 before for this one. So it was saving us money. But now it's crazy expensive. And now this one is the cheaper option. So that's kind of a good amalgam of parts to say, yeah, this is what happened in the update. It's kind of like a perfect example of a craft now was a great idea compared to something like this, and now it's just a horrible idea. But I do want to fix the K15. So I think I saved station core. I didn't save the station core. Crap. Poop. Oh, I saved it here, but I didn't save getting rid of the AJ10. Oh, yes, I did. So why was it telling me that has a... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're doing something silly. Yeah, now it doesn't show that warning. So, that's weird. Just didn't get rid of that warning for some reason. So normally, I don't think we're going to use this wider fairing for the K-15, especially now that we have a K-24 to try and launch some bigger stuff. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and put the extra fuel on for this. I goofed that up. Sometimes I wish there was an undo button on this. I feel like there really should be. That's better. Now what I wanted to do is to grab this upside down. I think that looks better. I could also flip this, do that. Yeah, let's do that. There we go, make it look even better. Just like the K-15 we had. Now the K-15 G4. Don't actually want it. I just want to update it. Override delete. Okay. Now, I want to see how expensive this is now. See if this is even a good idea at all. Now with all the changes that I made to it. So we got an Ant engine. Same like we were doing before. And our K-15. 35. So almost as expensive as our K-24. It's almost exactly as expensive. That's... ugh. Ugh. So this might go by the wayside. We might no longer be using the K-15. Yeah, it's actually more expensive than the K-24. Wow. Man, they really went and hosed this, didn't they? Is there maybe a cheaper way I could do this, gimbaling? Not that it worked particularly well. I mean, even then, reducing it to 1 each. Would still be at like the same price as a K-24. Well, ain't that a kick in the dick? I think if there's a way to like salvage this. I mean, if we did use a cheetah upper stage, it would save us a little bit of money, but not by much. And while the Kodiaks are cheap, other engines are more efficient. I think the question is going to be if my payload has a strong enough reaction wheel to go ahead and drag this thing the way I want it to go. Because if we keep just the center verniers, then we look a little better. 28K, save us 4K for something that's light enough. It's almost worth it. So there's our K14 or K15. I also want to update our wanted K7. This one's been very successful. However, there's one thing I'm going to change really quick. Those off. Those off. Take these off. Because now we have unlocked a full-size tank for this. And we might as well use that one. As opposed to two of these. One tank that's basically the same as two of those. Really, it's exactly the same, actually, because the price match is even the same. Usually it's cheaper to do one tank as opposed to two. Or at least a little lighter. But, nope, these are exactly the same, so it's not even changing anything. Well. And save that as the G4. You know what? I'm just gonna override. Forget it. Alright, so yeah, it looks like this is we're gonna make a shift from what was very Russian-esque launchers, a Proton-like and a Soyuz-like launcher, and shift into a more American type style, like a Titan. And sort of semi-Delta. The upper stage is different, but kind of a Delta 4. Delta 4 medium, maybe. Alright. It's been a crazy day. Did some cool stuff. So, if you want to see more of it, and you want to see all the stuff we've done before, check us out at youtube.com/dudeicalledyourbro. It's right there at the bottom. And I promise it's more entertaining than watching paint dry. On top of that, you can catch us here pretty much every night at 7. Probably not tomorrow night, because we'll be probably doing holiday plans that I'm not even aware of yet. But, thanks everyone for watching, and have a great night.